And it's going to be sad, man. It's going to be sad for him to walk away from the game. And I think the thing that I'm annoyed by a little bit is I think he had more in him. I mean, we can all agree, at age 44, he was outgunning 24-year-olds. He looked really good. His arm looked live. He's probably going to be either the MVP or the runner-up of the for the MVP against Aaron Rodgers. So what I don't understand is why did he walk away now? Is it as simple as, going for Tampa just doesn't have the horses around him to compete and he doesn't be part of a rebuild, and I get that part of it. But if you look at just his physical skill set, I think he had 1, maybe 2 more years left in him.
I mean, I'll tell you what it is. As a fellow Brazilian, it's Gisele. Like, Gisele's been on the record wanting him to hang it up. She was tired of seeing him get hit all the time and whatnot. And, as a fellow Brazilian, not only are we crazy at times and we have strong personalities, like when, we say something, like that's no slight against anybody, but it's just like, if we say what we mean and we mean what we say. And I think it was finally the last straw with Gisele, and she was like, it's either you retire or I'm leaving. I don't know if that's the case, but just paraphrasing here, that's just my gut instinct. Like you said, Jay, like the eyes don't lie. Like the guy could have probably played another 2 or 3 years if he wanted to. The whole TB12 brand is built around, him playing until he's at least 45, and he got pretty goddamn close if, with him retiring this season. But I think it was mostly Gisele and the family dynamic, and mad props if you want to spend more time with your family and your wife and all the kids and whatnot, that's your prerogative. Who am I to judge? But the fact of the matter is you look at the offensive side of the football, a decent amount of the starters, I feel like almost every starter position is either an unrestricted free agent or a restricted free agent type of deal. Chris Godwin's going to be a free agent. That's a key part of that offense. I think he soured a bit on Bruce Arians, especially with how the Antonio Brown fiasco went down. I think that might have been the nail in the coffin type of deal. We saw what BA did with the Tristan Wirfs situation of his injury, and that cost him in that game against the Rams. And I think that was the nail in the coffin where he said, okay, Gisele, you're right. I'm going to retire. Let's ride off into the sunset type of deal. And I don't think Tom's coming back. I think when he's retired unless he wants to be a new bachelor on the market type of deal.
Yeah, and I think that I've been trying to rationalize this, man, and I can't really point to anything besides the family aspect of this. Because, let's be real, I do understand the Tampa Bay Buccaneers had limitations, right? Their roster was gonna have to be overturned. They would need to bring new pieces in. But I'm of the mindset, if you get creative enough in the NFL, and I always like to say cap is crap, as Michael Felger says on Boston Radio, because there are teams out there like the Rams that get creative with no future, first round picks for the next 5 years, and their cap is, all the way up against the max, and they just figure out ways to make it work. And I thought Jason Light and that team in Tampa Bay would have figured out a way. And I truly believe that, Tom Brady would have had that influence where he could have talked to, I'll just throw names out there like OBJ or Godwin or even Devontae Adams, even though he'll never leave Aaron Rodgers. But just for the sake of argument, what if Tom Brady got on the phone with one of those guys and said, listen, I need you down here. Why don't you come down here, try to win a Super Bowl with me? I think some of those guys would take a little bit of a discount to go down there and play with him, right? So I think all of this points to he could still play. I think the Tampa Bay organization is smart and savvy enough to make it work for him. I just think that family part of it was so key for him that he decided it's time to step away. And there's rumblings out there that, this is just obviously just rumors, but there's rumblings that Gisele wants to get back into the supermodel world as well, and that obviously is a world where it's not just in the United States of America, it's a global market. She has to be traveling all across the world to be, to perfect her craft and get into shows and do this commercial and do this spot. It's not just in the United States where you can jump on a flight from LA back to Tampa for that evening, but she's going to be on the road. So I think a lot of this does boil down to Gisele and the fact that she was starting to get really fed up with it as well. And to be real with you, at this point, I kind of see her point of it as well.
No doubt. And listen, full disclosure, I don't want to make it sound like we're treating Gisele like Yoko Ono and the Beatles. That is not That is not. Maybe that's where you're coming from, Jay. I'm not doing that at all. Like
Mm-hmm.
she's made enough sacrifices and whatnot. It's on record. Yes, absolutely. Like I'm not trying to make it sound like Yoko Ono. I'm sorry. Just had to put that out there.
Yeah. No, I get your point, man. But like, I just hope Tom Brady doesn't sit on his couch next year and looks at the game of football and he misses it and he has that twinkle in his eye and it makes him sad and he looks over at Gisele and thinks, man, you're the one that made me walk away from this. Because you do know, like, relationships, obviously, I'm not trying to put myself in Tom Brady's shoes, but I mean, most relationships in life, especially when you're with your significant other, like, if something is forced on you, that causes a resentment and rub in that relationship, right? A lot of times whenever you come to a decision in a relationship, both parties got to be equally happy with that decision. If something is forced on you, that causes resentment. And I know Tom Brady, I know the competitor he is, and the fact that he's the most fierce competitor I've ever seen play any organized sport. I know he's going to be sitting on that couch next to him and thinking, man, I can do that so much better than 90% of the people in that league. Like, it would be one thing if he was deteriorating and he could, look at those guys on TV and be like, oh man, I can't do that. But he still, to this day, dude, you don't understand that at 44 years old, he led every single statistical category for quarterback. Like, he statistically was the best quarterback in the NFL this year. And he had so much more to give. And I just pray that he doesn't have that regret watching football next year. And I promise you this, there will be a time a team will get desperate enough. I'm not saying in training camp, I'm not saying in the beginning of the season, but late in the season, middle of the season, just like the Saints this year reached out to Drew Brees, somebody's going to reach out to him. And I wonder what his thought process is going to be at that point.
Right? I don't think his football's done. I think playing in between the lines is done. I mean, he's hinted at this throughout his career, especially like the last couple of years in New England when he was a little chapped about some of the personnel decisions that were made. That he would like to be an owner of a team and be able to call his own shots. I'm not saying he's going to buy a franchise at some point, but do I see him maybe getting a partial share in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers organization, or if somehow ruffled tail feathers are soothed between him and New England, does Bob Kraft give him a partial share of the team? I don't think that's a bridge too far, but I think that's going to be the kind of the extent of his football life, unless he gets divorced from Gisele.